Okay, tape number 3. I've done the first 3 all on the same days. September 11th or 12th, 13th, 2011. I left off with some BYU experience and going off to do some social work in the East in Massachusetts. I have letters of recommendation to you that are judging me that said, from a certified public accountant, Amy, had years of experience. Eagleton School was near bankruptcy. The IRS was coming in and taking money out of the till. My job was to put that back on its feet. My job was to fix that institution's financial problems, its policies, its procedures, its entire organization. It was totally screwed up. I did that. I became the assistant director of that institution. I hired a lot of doctorate teachers and managers and staff. I hired a lot of master's level teachers, and I was in charge of that school, other than the director, who could certainly veto anything that I put up. And that was a good experience for me. Bruce Bona, B-O-N-A, was the director. Call Bruce up. Call Eagleton School up. They're in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Ask them. But I have a letter from their accountant, who'd been their accountant for many, many years, that says that David was basically one of the most brilliant people he's ever had the privilege to work with, and that I did turn that institution around, and it was my doing. It wasn't Jesus, it wasn't Elohim, it wasn't any of that. It was David. I was the one that made the decisions. I was the one that put down the riots. I was the one who slept like a fireman with my boots at the side of my bed, because at 2 o'clock in the morning, most of the days of the week when I first got there were riots of 60, 70 kids and staff trying to kill each other. Be that as it may, I worked there, and I also worked at Colburn schools. Colburn is a very famous school. Back in those days, now this was 1973, 74, we charged $110,000 a year for tuition. 35 years ago, $110,000 per child. My job at Colburn was behavior modification. Again, they were having trouble with the kinds of kids they took in. Criminals, car thieves, rapists, assault, battery, retarded, handicapped, emotionally disturbed, kids that were kicked out of every school from Rhode Island to Vermont. That was my population. My job, Jean Weinstein, who I'm sure is dead now, hired me, and she said, basically, David, we got a problem. Can you fix it? I said, yeah, I think I can. Not Jesus, David. My education, my background, my bipolar mind. They gave me pretty much free rein, and I went in and I developed a behavior modification program. Back in the days where behavior modification was still kind of coming into its own. It was a new science, and it was an extremely good place for me to be, because it was creative. And I had kids that they rioted all the time. We had to call the state police 4 times, 5 times a year to put down riots, because these kids were tough. Some of them were 6'4", 200-300 pounds, and when you told him to go to his bedroom, he says, make me, and it was my job to make him. So I put in a student store and a point system where they could have some freedom to go out roller skating and dances and being with normal teenagers, and they responded to that. Yeah, they kicked my new truck door in one day, and yeah, they attacked each other, and I was at the emergency room the first months that I was there, but it pretty much calmed down and straightened out, and it was basically me. So all of you that have all of this talent to judge me, that can say, oh, he's this, he's that, have you ever been able to take 1, 2, or 3 schools of 60 to 100 wild kids and staff and restructure them? If you did, gee, you're kind of in a position to judge me. Did I do a good job or not? And those that have degrees and those that have experience say, yeah, He did. He knew what he was doing. I was compassionate. I never, beat the kids up or was punitive like the Mormon Church, threatening them. I just basically said, here's the reward system. You want the reward? Do it. You don't? I don't care. And they responded. I left the Massachusetts and the New England area after several years of being up there and loved the Berkshires and the western Massachusetts and my life there. I had a good life there. There were, some events, and I'll go on later with other tapes of my son Stephen and his drug addiction that caused some problems in the area, Lenox, Massachusetts. And I'll go on later too about my son David Adam, my oldest son, who was shooting, I think, a .45 caliber handgun in the backyard, in the neighborhood. And the police came and got him. And gee, Jesus didn't get him out of jail. Jesus didn't get him an attorney. I did. Neither one of those boys ever served time. Not because of Jesus and not because of any invisible God, but because David had education, training, and background in the law. He loved his children. He didn't want those children's lives soiled with an early arrest record. So anyway, from that point, and again, I'm old and I may be repeating myself, and you know what, I don't care. I don't care. This is for me. For me to go on record. For me to say my truth. Because all of my exes and all of my evil, wicked children who think that I'm going into outer darkness, is what Mormons call, outer darkness, that's their hell. I bought 2 flashlights just in case they're right. But anyway, I moved to the Midwest, into Blue Springs, Missouri, and I worked for a agency there that, again, the kids were younger, and I was the main social worker. I was the case manager of those kids, and it was, 25 maybe. And I did group therapy, individual therapy. I wrote all of the records. I did help with grants and funding grants there. I guess some of you that are judging me have written government grants with all the rules and the regulations and probably have received grants from the government, the city, and the state. That's an easy thing to do, real easy. Writing the articles of incorporation and getting them approved, getting them registered within the state. And there I was the head of the Office for Children funding. I think I handled probably, $1 to $3 million that I gave out to agencies that were doing a good job and needed expanding money. I also served there on the Department of Mental Health and, 2 or 3 other places. But I'm going to put my resume on this particular documents that I'm making. So if any of you are smarter, better, or have more achievements, put them up beside my resume. I don't judge you. I let you be who you are. I love and accept you basically for who you were created to be. Some of you have good sense of humor, some of you don't. Some have good education, some you don't. Some are beautiful, some are ugly. Some have high intelligence, some are IQ of 52. But I fought for and advocated for all of my wives and all of my children while it was my responsibility. And I did a good job on that, a really good job on that. And I'm going to use that in other tapes, and I'm going to provide proof, documents, people who don't know the Mormon Church and don't know me, who are saying, gee, this guy is sharp. He knows what he's doing. I don't have anything that says I have a good personality. Gee, not one paper. Not one. I don't have anything that says he's the best friend in the community. I don't have any of the documents like that. But you know what I have? Get her done. Get her done. The rest of you, just talk, and maybe you'll get a degree here, or maybe you'll be able to take a class here, but you know what? I paid for all of my education. Not Jesus. Jesus didn't write me a check at all. I worked night and day and paid my own tuition to BYU, to Northeastern State University, and to Springfield College, and Ventura Law School, etc. I, not Jesus, I rode a motorcycle in the middle of winter in Oklahoma. I think it was an hour, you can check this stuff, from Veneta, where I live, to Northeastern State University on a motorcycle, wrapped like a mummy, to get my education. Jesus didn't give me any gloves or any kind of hats. I had to buy those. I had to buy the motorcycle. I had to put the gas in the motorcycle. Then when I got there, I had to do the work. And I had to pass what the committee required me to pass to get a master's degree. None of you have done that. None of you made that kind of sacrifice. But you can judge me. I could ride that motorcycle for about 20 minutes at a time, and then had to run into a 7-Eleven to get warm enough that I could get my hands to go back around that. How many of you have worked that hard for an education? And then you go, oh, education's not important. I know a lot of people who are stupid who have an education. Well, you know what? I've met a lot of stupid people too, and most of them don't have an education. So go ahead and judge me. Go ahead and say whatever you want to say. But the truth of the matter is, Adam has a master's degree. I have a master's degree. The rest of you don't. The rest of you don't. And I know what sacrifice I had to do to get it. I know what sacrifice he had to do to get it. The rest of you don't care. The rest of you didn't want to make that sacrifice. And frankly, the rest of you have not been exposed to what we've been exposed to. We're probably a little more intelligent. We probably had better jobs. We probably made more money. We probably drive nicer cars. We probably have nicer homes. And we probably have a more happy life. I do. I'm very happy that I got out of the cult. I'm very happy human being, and learning how to socialize, learning how to have fun, and learning to quit hating people, gays and blacks and polygamists and fundamentalists. Good Lord, my family in the cult has a list of hate that goes a mile long, and those kids were never taught that by me. And frankly, none of my wives. None of my wives are hateful. They were taught that by the Mormon cult. That is the wickedness of a cult. They teach to hate. They cluster together and they shun. Okay, the end of tape 3. Then take another break, and I'll be back. Thanks.